Welcome to the Football Historian Podcast.
By all means, enjoy it.
He will go right to the very top.
Dos, tres, cuatro times.
Here we go, Germans.
I will turn these results round.
All right, that's good manners.
There's animosity, but there's no fight.
If you can't beat them, join them.
How do you make me feel sick if I look at you?
No, I want to fight here.
Don't drink, don't sleep with women, don't drive fast cars.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit too!
Hello, welcome to the Football Historian Podcast. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Kirkland. Thank you so much for coming into the garage.
It's been a while, isn't it? But yeah, we've sorted it out now.
No, I appreciate it. Do you want to go straight in? Start your career. I've got 1998. You started with Coventry.
Yeah.
I think there was a few like little youth moves before. That's when your professional career starts.
Yeah.
Your debut against Tranmere, playing under Gordon Strachan. What was that whole time like beginning your career?
Yeah, so I mean, I was an outfielder to start with. For me, local Sunnyside Barwell. I was always on the bench, never any good really. And then just before I was 14, the keeper got injured, and the manager went, "You're gonna have to go in goal." And I said, "Oh, I've never played in goal." And he says, "Well, you're big, so try and stop the ball." So from 14 then to 16, when I signed in the youth team, the academy at Coventry, and then you sign your first pro when you're 17. Was training with the first team pretty much when I was 17 onwards. Which was incredible. I always said I was very lucky. I had some brilliant role models, Dion Dublin, Richard Shaw, Paul Williams, Gordon Strachan, Gary Mack. So I was around David Burrow, I was around some real pros. So from an early age, I was very lucky. Stevie Grizovic, who was, became my idol, just seeing the way he worked, the way he conducted himself, the way he trained. I've never seen anyone train as hard as him. So I was lucky, and then, made my debut against John Achterberg, was in goal for Tranmere. And then on the weekend, made my debut in the Premier League against Tottenham, and we won 2-1 at Highfield Road. Yeah. Which was So it was quite for 4 years, from my first game in goal, nearly 14, to it was a whirlwind really. 4 years later, I'm making my Premier League debut. It was quite a rapid rise.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be many who'll do that quick.
No, I was glad I did it that way though, because I know a lot of lads are in the academy these days, and listen, a lot of time it works out for them. But it allowed me to do other things as well, so I could play for my school team, I could play cricket, I could play tennis and all that. Sometimes you have to limit what you do when you're in academies, obviously. Yeah. So I was lucky it worked out that way, because it might have been very different. But yeah, I'm glad now looking back that it was that quick.
Yeah, well, on Gordon Strachan as well, I've got a quote from him. He said, "You're a big Bambi who couldn't kick the ball out the penalty box." Was that fair?
True. Oh yeah, true. I mean, I literally could not get it off the floor. I mean, I think it was nearly 16 and a half, 17 before I could kick the ball properly. Yeah, it was a bit. They were never worried. They knew I was growing into my body. But yeah, something certainly I was conscious of. But yeah, ability-wise. But like I said, I was training with Oggy from probably 15. Oggy was the first team goalie coach at Liverpool, Coventry. Sorry, the first team keeper. But he would train a group of us on a Wednesday night at the Wrightington Lodge for when I was 15. So working with him was just an honour. Yeah,
and then you beat, is it Magnus Hedman? Is that the correct pronunciation of the Milan spot?
Yeah, I did. I mean, Jim Blythe, my goalie coach as well, had a special relationship with him. We lived close to each other, and he sort of took me under his wing as well. And having Jim and Oggy, Magnus, I used to room with Magnus. But yeah, Gordon showed tremendous faith, because at the time Magnus was Sweden's number one, and he was a big star. So yeah, Gordon showed immense faith in us.
So, and as you said, you've come into it as a youngster, basically, an old head in terms of football. But you're 14 years old coming into it, 18 coming into the first team. You're getting rid of the number one. You say Gordon Strachan showing faith in you. At that point, is your ego making you think you're going to be the best goalkeeper in the world, or was it just are you happy to be there?
Because I was grounded. Always have been, and yeah, working with those players, they wouldn't let you get out of it. But that's not in me anyway. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, unfortunately, we got relegated in my first season at Coventry, which was tough. We went down at Aston Villa, which was obviously a local derby, which was extremely tough. And then in the summer, a lot of the players went. I think Robbie Keane went. There was quite a few players that got sold, obviously to balance the books, and then Liverpool come calling for me. And if it was any other team, I wouldn't have left, because I was happy there, even though we'd just been relegated. I was happy. I was living in the area. But yeah, once Liverpool come calling, that was it. It was only one team.
Well, I think I got here that you were voted the Players Player of the Year, and Liverpool and Arsenal were linked here. So was the talks with Arsenal as well?
No. I mean, I know they were interested, but no. I wouldn't have. It was only standing on the Cop as a kid. I was only going to go to Liverpool, and like I said, I was happy. I was still young. I know we'd just been relegated, but I'd just started the season in the Championship with Coventry. I think the first game was Stockport away, if I remember right, we won 2-0. And then that was my last game for them then, because Liverpool come in a few days later. I knew about the move before, probably 3 or 4 months before. I was getting calls off Gary Mack, who was at Coventry with me, but then at Liverpool, just saying, look, don't sign for anyone else. There's interest, but we want you to come up here. Liverpool want you. And you think, oh, well, there's still 3 or 4 months to go before the window opens again. So you think, oh, something's going to happen. They're going to sign someone else. But every few weeks he was calling me and saying, look, they're going to sign you in August. Don't sign for anyone else. But it still went down to deadline day. Even though I knew about it for 4 months, it still went down to the last minute.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Deadline day move. How does that happen? How does it happen that it goes that
I don't,
the wire?
Like I said, I knew
how stressful are they?
It is. It is. I knew, so I got told, I didn't have an agent at the time. So I had a load of agents ringing me saying, look, Liverpool, come with us, we'll do it. And I met a couple, didn't like them. Then I met a guy called Colin Gordon in Hilton in Coventry. And just clicked with him straight away. And he said, look, they're desperate for you. You're doing well at Coventry though. If you don't want to move, you don't have to. But obviously these chances don't come up. They might not come up again. He said, expect the call. So this was on the Wednesday. I met him on the Monday. Then he rang me on the Tuesday. He said, look, expect it now. Have your bags packed. He said, it's probably going to go down to deadline day or the day before. You're going to have to go up. So the Tuesday, Wednesday, I was like, oh God, I was nervous because I didn't want to. The biggest thing I was nervous about, not the side, not moving to Liverpool. I couldn't wait, but it was leaving home. Like I was only just turned 20, and the thought of leaving home, something you'd been used to all your life, was daunting. But luckily, I had my girlfriend then, my wife now, Leona, when we moved up together. So I got the call. I was actually at Highfield Road in a fire and safety meeting with the youth team because I was still involved with the youth team as well. And they said, and then a knock on the door coming, and Gordon Strachan popped his head round the corner, and I knew what it was. He just said, Kirky, come on, out you come. And then he just, look, we've had a bid off Liverpool. We've accepted it, but you don't have to go. He said, if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. So I was like a bit like that, and Oggy was at the training ground, at the ground at the time. So Oggy come in, and he just looked at me and says, what are you doing? He says, you're a Liverpool fan, aren't you? He says, you're too good for this club. He says, get yourself to Liverpool. So we went up on the night before deadline day, got up about 2 a.m, straight in the scanners, and then the Friday was the deadline day. And yeah, it went down to about 4:45 because it was 5 o'clock back in them days. And I'd still not signed, I was still nervous. So then I went and stood on the cot where I used to stand as a kid, and then I just said, yeah, let's get it done, let's get signed. Yeah. But yeah, still went down to deadline day.
That's boss. Yeah. And then obviously you're number one, as you said, player of the year. This interesting big club at Coventry, and then you come into Liverpool. So as Westerveld just left and Dudek comes.
Oh, Sandon was still there at the time.
But Dudek signed with you as
well.
Jersey
signed on the same day.
Yes,
so Gerard really told me. Yeah, they told me. So everyone thought, so you must not know about it. But I think what they were trying to do is Tomo's told the story since Phil Thompson. I didn't know the story, so I knew they wanted me, but then Coventry were haggling a little bit, so then they moved to Jersey, and then the Jersey deal was dead apparently. So they moved. They wanted both. I think they wanted one of us to start with, but then when it became a possibility to sign us both, they said, well, yeah, we need 2 keepers, and let's sign them both. So they both got done in the end. But yeah, Jersey was awesome. Yeah. I mean, a room with Jersey, and after about 3 or 4 months, I thought, Jesus, I'm not going to get in it because he was just phenomenal. Yeah. Obviously, then the Man U game happened later on, and he wasn't quite the same after that. But yeah, what a guy, what a keeper. So,
arriving as well with Sander Westphal, this the season after the treble, is that correct?
Yeah, so it was.
He must have felt a bit upset that there's 2 new blokes coming in.
Probably rightly so as well. So yeah, we were all training together. We had Peggy Arfexad as well, so there was 4 of us. But obviously 4 doesn't go, so eventually Sander left. I can't remember where Sander went to. You probably tell me that. Yeah, I think he went back abroad.
I think he went back to Holland, I think.
So yeah, but I still see Sander now. We're great. There's no issues. But yeah, obviously at the time on a professional level, he was probably devastating, and rightly so.
Yeah, and then for yourself, again, first team keeper into a pool of 4 there. Obviously, you get whittled down to 3. Were you thinking, so many years, I'm going to have the number 1, I'm happy to be back up? What was your
well, to start, so Gerard said, look, you're going to be number 2, learn off Jersey, learn off the players. It's a big step up, obviously. I knew that anyway. I mean, I thought I was fit when I come, but seeing the level of standard, the training that goes up, the speed, the intensity, it was a lot more. But and then he said, listen, when you're ready, you'll play. And he was true to his word. It's just that every time I got in, unfortunately, I got a serious injury that knocked the stuffing out of us. But yeah, I'd do it all again.
Yeah,
do it all again just for one game.
Well, that's good. And as you say, you did have a run of games. Jesse Dudek has that mistake retired against Diego Forlan and Anfield, and you have 14 games in a row until you get injury at a League Cup semi-final against Palace.
No, so it was the Crystal Palace game.
Yeah,
FA
the Palace.
Cup.
It was FA Cup. Sorry,
So I did my cruciate ligament. So then I was out for 7-8 months after that.
Yeah,
and then the League Cup, I was playing every game in that, and then
you missed the final.
Missed the final with that because that was the cruciate. So we'd already got to the final of the League Cup, and then the FA Cup was in the January.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously the final would have been in February, but I missed it because I was in a knee brace and crutches.
And how's that feel?
It was tough, but I remember going down to the, so was it Millennium then? It was Millennium Stadium. So I was out there and I went down the tunnel and went out and all the fans just stood up and give us, it was what a feeling that was.
Yeah.
Even though I couldn't play, it was, I think they appreciated how we got to the final and that I'd played in every round before and how gutted I was that I was missing out. So that reception meant the world. Yeah.
And I was looking through some stories that you were in the news or whatever from your career, and Neil Warnock recently commented that in 2003, during the game, you handled the ball outside the box in a League Cup semi-final and you should have been sent off, but Alan Wiley was too scared to do it. Any thoughts on that comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think I did handball it outside the box, yeah. So, it should have been sent off.
Yeah,
but Neil Warnock's... Well, we've had a few run-ins with Neil Warnock over the years. He's not shy, is he? I think he likes a bit of... I think he likes to wind people up. Yeah,
I think his comment was, do you never get the big decisions at the big grounds? Do you, playing for a big club in Liverpool and also playing for smaller clubs that I'll say maybe you can't, but do you ever feel there was sway from referees on those decisions?
I think a lot goes with how you treat the referees as well. I mean, there's some referees you couldn't talk to. They didn't want to know. They just sent you away. Don't talk to me. So the arrogant ones, really arrogant ones. Best ones I come across. Harold Webb, he was great. Who else were there? There was only a few. Mike Riley, he was okay when I'd never have an issue with him. Dermot O'Leary was great. Chris Foy, he was actually good as well because you could talk to them. You could have a conversation with them. But if you stepped over the line, you knew you were going to. But a lot of the referees were, you couldn't talk to them. Yeah. I'll tell you who weren't bad as well. Clatterberg, actually, he gets a lot of stick, but you could have a conversation with him. You might not get all the decisions right, but he wouldn't fob you off when you went and talked to him. But do they listen? I think it's been probably proved over the years, isn't it, that sometimes it does go with the. I don't know. You'll have to ask the refs that. Yeah. But you see decisions these days that just baffle you. Even with VAR, you still like, well, you've got the decision wrong again. It does wind you up.
Yeah. Well, I think there's recent comments from recent referees that maybe suggest that maybe still bias in the opposite direction nowadays.
It was a week, weren't it? Yeah, I mean. It's bound to go on, isn't it? I mean, you're getting referees that are reffing games that they probably supported them teams, and I know they're not meant to, but it's definitely went on.
Yeah. Well, and then if we go back to Liverpool, you say injuries there that stopped you playing in the cup final. You were very much competing with Jerzy Dudek, and we know what he went on to do in some of the biggest games for Liverpool. But just for yourself, and how hard is it getting injured?
Well, at the time, I was young when I was at Liverpool, so you do come back from these things. But yeah, when you look back now, it's like, wish I'd have played in that one. Wish I'd have played in that game and stuff. But listen, it is what it is. Yeah, would you like to play it? Absolutely, but I didn't. Simple as that. But then, I'm a Liverpool fan, so even though I couldn't play in them then, I was desperate for the team to win because I'm a Liverpool fan. Yeah.
Well, and so we'll touch on more later, but mental health struggles and stuff like that with injuries, are you getting support at that time? Because it's getting better and better all the time. But
yeah, I mean, back then, listen, the physio's doing an unbelievable job. You're with them a lot of the time. Mental health's always been there. It's not going away. But I think now it's more. I think they're looking for it more now. In football clubs, in academies, everything like that. I think a lot more is being put in place for them to have that support.
Yeah, and what's worse for an injured player? Is it the team doing well or the team not doing well?
Listen, it's tough when you're seeing a team doing well. You want to be out there. Any player that says that they're delighted. Listen, you want the team to win, but you want to be playing there. If you're looking at someone in your position, you hoping that they either have a bad game or they miss a few games or whatever. And any player that says that doesn't feel that way, that's not the right attitude to me. If you're happy being on the bench and not playing, there is players that have been. I've played with players that are just interested in just the money and they're not bothered. or they're just interested in the win bonuses and stuff like that. But it is extremely tough. Yeah, when you want to be out there, so you want them to do well, but the person in your position, you don't want them to do well, if that makes sense.
Happy to win 3-2 and the keeper drops 2.
Because you want to be, well, keepers is different, a really difficult one, because players can have bad games and misplaced passes and lose form and doesn't really get noticed. But a keeper loses form or makes mistakes, you get crucified, absolutely crucified. I remember when Jersey made that one against Man U, and I was crying after it as well, because I seen how much it hurt him, and I thought, wow, if I was in that position, I would feel devastated, because, as I say, it's different when a keeper makes a mistake. Everyone's on you straight away.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about Liverpool again. A certain trophy was won while you were at the club, Istanbul. There's a comment that you said that after the Olympiacos game, you thought Liverpool were going to go on to win the Champions League. Yeah. I think that's quite a mad comment for a team that finishes 5th and maybe didn't have the best squad. But what made you from that night feel?
Just the way we come back, the feeling, the belief it gave everyone in the dressing room. Sometimes things are written in a star. And I actually said, Neil Mellor backed me up on this one as well. I actually said in the final when we were 3-0 down at half time, I said we will win this at half time. And we were trying to actually get a bet on it, but there was no signal in the stadium. But I said, you can check that with Neil Mellor. Something just told me after that game that it was just written in the stars we were going to go and win it. The way we come back, the way obviously the goal Stevie scored last few minutes. He just everyone in the dressing room after just give them that huge boost and belief.
Yeah, and then the final itself, obviously you don't want a lot of money if you put that bet on.
Yeah.
There's people like Stephen Warnock, we've had John Welsh and David Raven sit in that chair as well, and all got different views on how the club treated players who weren't necessarily the starting line.
It was bad. Yeah, I mean, there was 2 planes back. You probably heard it. There was 2 planes back. The second plane got delayed a little bit, and they made the decision to start the parade without a few of the players, which is terrible. You know, I don't know who made the call or whatever. Obviously, you've got police involved saying this and that, but they should have all. They could have all said, "Look, we're not leaving until." But anyway, the decision was made, and a few of us were left behind.
So what did you do then?
Went home and watched it on the TV. Yeah.
And how's that feel?
Oh, it was gutting. Yeah, when you see all the scenes and everything, even though you've not played, you played in a few early games. Again, being a Liverpool fan, it was really tough.
Yeah, and then I read as well Scott Carson tried to give you this winner's medal. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, on the pitch. Yeah, good friends with Scotty. And but listen, he played. He played against Juventus. Then he played in some of the game. I said, no, listen, you deserve it just as much as me. When you don't play in the final, when you're not involved in the final, even if you played every round before, the final's a unique one-off game. If you don't play in that, you don't really feel as though you deserve the medal. As bad as that sounds, saying that.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I think there's people who maybe feel hard done to that they weren't given one, but that's never something you felt like. Because I think
we're all meant to get one. Yeah. So we're all meant to, but a lot of them went missing. Rafa had so many staff. I mean, and people didn't even recognise on the pitch in the end that probably nicked one or got one as well. So yeah, unfortunately, never got one.
Yeah, and then also you had the League Cup final. Did you get a medal from that?
Gerard Houllier gave me his. Yeah, so that he come up to me and put his medal around me, and just said, "Hey, listen, we're here because of you, and you deserve this." So yeah, that's just what Gerard Houllier like there.
Well, my next question was about Rafa, but maybe we can use it in that context. Is there a big difference between Rafa and Gerrard?
Yeah, big difference, and I'm not the first to say it. Rafa was very cold, football. You know that, and people say, well, that was his job, but being a manager is more these days. We've seen it, and with Jurgen, with man managers. I've worked with Steve Bruce, Gerard Houllier. You've got to be a man manager. You've got to look after the player just as much, and then the football will hopefully take care of itself. But yeah, Rafa was certainly different to Gerard Houllier.
Yeah, in a better way or in a nice way?
No. I mean, listen, I'd always prefer the route that Gerard went. Paul Jewell, Steve Bruce, Gordon Strait. You've got to be able to man manage a player, but Rafa was very cold that way. You couldn't go and see him if you had an issue or you needed a day off for a doctor, whatever your missus had, something like that. You felt as though you couldn't ask for that because he would look at you in a way that you thought, I'm not going to play the next game, or I'm not going to be involved if you go and ask that. But that's just the way Rafa was.
Yeah, I think if Steven Gerrard felt he wasn't liked by Rafa, I imagine what any other player feels.
When Stevie was going to go, Rafa, because Rafa knew Stevie was bigger than him. Steven Gerrard was bigger than Rafa, and Rafa didn't like that. I think he wanted to be the main man. But when you got legends like Carra and Stevie and stuff like that, I think he went around it the wrong way sometimes.
Okay, well, and then if we step away from Liverpool, England, can we tell the story about the bet that you
Yeah,
did?
so it was after my first game in goal. My dad put a bet. I never knew about it. And yeah, it was bad odds, really. I mean, it was 100 to 1 at £100. So, but back then I wasn't in great shape at all. So if I'd have gone in with them, they'd have got a lot more odds than that, because they'd have looked at me and thought, there's no way that lad's playing for England. But yeah, it come off. Made me debut against Greece at Old Trafford, of all places. But yeah, people always say that must be the highlight of your career, but playing for Liverpool, that never be topped.
Yeah.
Never be topped.
Well, if we talk about some of the players that were in that team, and you trained with Paul Robinson, there was John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, Gary Neville, Frank Lampard. Obviously, you're a Liverpool fan playing for an unbelievable team anyway, but just to see those players firsthand, who maybe stood out the most for you from
I was in there when Beckham was in there as well, and I mean, Paul Scholes was a hell of a player. He was awesome. John Terry, again, no surprise these guys are going to have the careers they've had, because they were incredible. Obviously, the rivalry which hampered England, I think it's been, the so-called golden generation. It was very cliquey. So, you'd have, especially if you'd played each other on a Super Sunday, and then you were meeting up on the Monday, and whatever happened in that game, it could be very frosty at times. But yeah, I mean, Wayne Rooney as well. Just some of the talent was just, you had to be on it every day when you train with England. Yeah.
Was there anyone who shocked you from that camp, better or worse than you thought they'd be, or
no?
Just everyone was quite good.
Quite good, handsome, yeah. Yeah, quite good, handsome.
And am I right in saying you missed another game against the Netherlands 2006 because your daughter was born?
Yeah, right? So I pulled out the squad, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
do you hold any grudges against her?
No, I'll do it every time. Don't think England were overly pleased, I pulled out the squad, but no, family's far more important than football. I'll do it every time.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Let's see what you said after camera as well, yeah.
No, honestly,
I know.
Yeah. We get asked that question a lot. So that's one of the ones we ask in schools, and all the lads are like, "No, I play football," and the girls were like, "Well, I hope you didn't." But no, there's no hesitation there at all. Family's far more important than football.
Okay, cool, man. Well, and then just last one on England, Steve McLaren. What was he like? Because he didn't have the best career as an England manager.
He was fine. Yeah, he was. I first when I went there, it was Sven. So I worked under Sven, Fabio Capello. Totally, he was like Rafa. Yeah, ruthless. But Steve had that interaction with the players as well, and obviously he was at Man U for long periods, weren't he, as well? So, but yeah, no issues with him at all. I know he got obviously the stick and stuff with him, but knowledge wise, outstanding.
Yeah, and then have you got the cap now, or you got
no,
it?
Not yet.
18 years later, it is.
I was meant to get it. Greece just gone, but Lucy was going to come down with my daughter, and she was away with the school. She got invited on a trip, so we're going down in the new year. So
why is it taking so long to get your cap?
I don't know. Sort of forgot about it. And then got asked if I had it, and I said, well, no, never did get it. So it was Edgehill University. Gareth Hoyton started. He sorted it all out for us. So yeah, we'll go down in the new year and get that.
That'll be a good day, I'm guessing. To
put that in there. I was gutted actually, because obviously Lee Carr's my mate and he's the manager, so it would have been, but it just didn't work out. So I'm hoping he'll still be. I know when Tuchel starts only in January, so yeah, it's a shame that, because I love Carzo, because I was at Coventry with Lee. And he was a great pro, and no surprise, he's done amazing stuff.
Yeah, he might be into the 21s. At least
I think he's going back to them, but I'd imagine a few teams will try and snap him up.
Yeah. Good point. Right, leaving Liverpool, loan to West Brom at the first time you took a step towards the exit door.
Yeah,
was that always coming, or was that a loan that you felt you were going to come back and win?
No, it was needed. I think Rafa made it. He just said, "Look, you're not going to play. I want a foreign goalkeeper. I don't want an English goalkeeper," and that was it. Okay. So simple as that. Yeah. So Joe Corrigan was my goalie coach at Liverpool when I first went there, and he was at West Brom. And then Brian Robson rang and said, "Look, Joe's here, come here." So yeah, it made perfect sense, and everything went great for 10 games or so. And then I got hit in the side from Kevin Davis, and he ruptured my kidney basically. So I was out for a long time with that. But everything was going great as well. So then come back on loan, and then from loan, and then. They said, right, we need to leave. You need to leave on a permanent now, and then so I went to Wigan, and things really kicked there. My career really kicked off. It's probably the best I played during my career.
Yeah, well, that's to say you revived your career maybe at Wigan. Player of the year 07-08. There's a penalty save that's remembered against Benny McCarthy. If that's,
Blackburn.
That's correct. And so, what was your personal highlight of being a Wigan player?
Just sometimes when you walk through the door of a place, you just get that feeling that this fits. I mean, Rafa nearly messed the deal up. So I was actually sat in the canteen at Wigan for 2 days because Rafa was messing around with a deal. And Paul Jewell was saying to me, listen, he'll get done, but we're going to have to play up. We're going to have to play a little bit of hardball here. So he took me up into the office, actually. And he said, right, just don't say anything, but this is what we're dealing with from Rafa. So Rafa come on and he was going, well, he can come back then. And Paul Jewell said, listen, if this deal's not done in the next 10 minutes, I'm sending him back down to 58. And Paul Jewell's looking at me going, not like that. And Rafa was like, well, we say when he moves and stuff like this. And Paul was brilliant. He handled it superbly. And then he spoke to Frankie McFarlane and Paul, and Frankie knew each other. He said, look, Frankie, I'm not joking. If he's not done in 10 minutes, we've got to move on. And literally 5 minutes later, they got a call and it was a done deal. So that was just Rafa being Rafa, saying that you'll sign when I'll say you'll sign, or, you know. So that's how difficult he was. Yeah. But I listened to the conversation. So I heard it on the phone. So, he can't deny it because I was in the room when it was all going on.
And were Liverpool telling you a different
Liverpool
thing?
With Frankie McFarlane saying, listen, Paul, it's just Rafa being Rafa. He's being hard work. And, he's saying, listen, you've got to sign Curry. Like he says, you won't regret it if you do. And Paul saying, I know, that's why we want him. But Rafa's being a tit sort of thing. But they were like, no, he's just like this. He's like this. And Paul said, well, I'm telling you, you got 10 minutes and that's it. And then it got done then after that.
Yeah, and we'll fast forward again, if you don't mind, just to Sheffield Wednesday. There's a few loans in between again.
Yeah.
Are you? I think is it Leicester and Doncaster?
Yeah, I went briefly. Yeah.
So was it injuries again that held you back, and what? How, was it a step down going to Sheffield Wednesday, or did it feel like a big step the other way? Yeah.
No, definitely not. It was what a club. And yeah, and again, I got Player of the Year first year there. Didn't want to leave Wigan. I was happy there, but Martinez come in and said pretty much the same thing. You're not going to play. I've been regular captain for 4 years, and then it just changed when he come in. So I knew the way it was going to go. A bit like when Rafa come in and brought a different goalie coach in at Liverpool. So yeah, I went to Sheffield Wednesday, and yeah, really took off there. And amazing club, but just it was difficult. The travelling and stuff like that. Being away from home was hard.
Yeah, and then if we can talk about one game against Leeds in 2012, is that something you like to talk about, or is it annoying that it's
not really? No, I mean, the game was on a Friday night. It should never be on a Friday night. I think they just had it on a Friday night last season as well. But yeah, it was just, it's just one of those things that happened. I was devastated because we were 1-0 up and they equalised. I think it was the 77th minute or something. Yeah, it was just carnage after that. But I mean, that game was tough. But then going back to Ellen Road 3 months later that was worse. I was getting all sorts, death threats, a lot. Yeah, it was. That was probably the most hostile, and because it was aimed all at me as well, because it was my fault what happened. Apparently, that's what they try and see it. And I mean, the lad got sent down. He went to prison. Been in all kinds of trouble since, all kinds of trouble after. I mean, he was the one that fell at Chelsea, the fan.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, going back there was tough, really tough. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get in and out.
Yeah, and if we speak about abuse that keepers get in that, sometimes me and my mates go watch Tranmere, and when you're in a conference, you jokingly pick on the keeper because he's the bloke in front of you, which I'm sure you understand that's what it is a lot of the time. But then that Leeds game, it wasn't a joke. So a lot of the time it's like, oh, you're not very good, whatever. But sometimes it oversteps the line. As a keeper, do you think you get the worst abuse off?
Yeah, because you're next to the fans, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're next to them. So, I mean, I got told before the game, actually, so we stayed in Leeds the night before the game from Sheffield. They put armed police outside my room, got to the ground, and then just before I went out for my warm-up, they said, oh, just to let you know, there's going to be armed police on either side of your post for you and stuff like that. And they said, if the ball goes into the crowd, don't go anywhere near the crowd to get the ball, let them throw it back to you, sort of thing. But yeah, some of the I won't repeat what was said and stuff like that, but yeah, some of it is way.
Yeah. Well, and maybe not that game in just that one alone.
In general,
but in general,
you get because that's the bit when you go and get the ball from the crowd. That's when you can get proper abused. Yeah. But some of the stuff they say is just vile. Yeah, vile.
Anyone ever made you laugh?
Yeah, a few times. You get some real good ones as well. Yeah. And it's how you take it, but yeah, some of if you know when it's in good humour, and you know when they're only having a laugh and stuff, and then you engage with them a little bit. But yeah, the other stuff you got to try and ignore it, but it's hard sometimes, really difficult. Yeah,
and I just want to touch on before we speak about after your career, Preston. You played with Jordan Pickford, Sam Johnston, Anders Lindegaard. There's quite a good collection of young goalkeepers there. Obviously, that's later in your career. Did you relish the chance to work with young keepers then? And could you tell Pickford would go on and play for England in World Cups?
said it at the time. So yeah, they rang me and said, look, we've got Jordan Pickford. We want you to come in, help him. You'll be number 2, obviously. But yeah, he was awesome. He was, like I said, this lad will play for England. There's no doubt about that. What he didn't do, he didn't engage like he does now. Sometimes he gets worked up and engages with the crowd a bit too much. Never seen that at Preston. Never did that. He just literally did his game. He was outstanding every single game for Preston. And then he got recalled for Sunderland in, I think it was January or February. He had to go back to Sunderland. But yeah, he was one of the best I've ever worked with.
Yeah. What was Preston like?
Great club, great family clubs, great lads. Yeah. Just up the road, Simon Grayson. Yeah. Manager, yeah, it was a good club.
Yeah, my mate's a big Preston fan, so I had to ask him
really,
that,
really good club.
Yeah. And talk about the move to Bury, because it links to what happened after your career. And that you went, was you there for a month, didn't play?
Yeah, well, I went pre-season, so signed, and then it was pre-season. But I should never have signed. Yeah, I weren't in a great place at all. Knew it was going to end in disaster. But you have to do these things sometimes to come through the other side. But yeah, I should never have signed for. And ended up leaving, pretty much, after about a month.
Yeah, so I've got 2 quotes from you from this time, if that's okay, I can tell you. You said, I know people will find it hard to understand why someone like me, who's been lucky enough to have spent my whole professional career in football, enjoyed all the benefits that come with it, but needs some space away from the game. However, it's the decision that I've made for my family and myself.
Yeah.
So, again, this is a time before, I know even though it's that long ago, you're probably not welcome to speak about your mental health. Did you feel like you couldn't say then that's why it was, or... you just didn't want to make it a headline about that.
No, I was just. I think back. I don't know. I think you're confused. You're not thinking straight. You're feeling that bad. You just don't want to do anything. Football's the last thing on your mind. And when you've done something for so long and you've just got no interest in that, there's an issue. But no, I wish I would have done. I wish when I started struggling back in 2013, I wish I would have said. But for some reason, you just don't. I think you don't really understand how you're feeling until you get it explained to you, until you get therapy and stuff like that. But yeah, I was just at a complete loss. I just didn't want to do anything, didn't want to live. Just didn't want to engage with anything at all. And it was, at the time, it was the only thing that made sense, just to stop playing and stop training, stop all of that. But yeah, listen, I could have played on till I was way into my 40s. I was 35 at the time, so... Yeah, it robbed me a good 5 years. Not saying at the top level, but I could have been involved because I was fit. I was. But yeah, that's tough. What's looking back now, because I wish I would have said. Yeah, sitting here now, I was like, why didn't you get help before?
Yeah,
because it would have been there. They're not going to tell me. Dave Flitcroft was unbelievable. Was at Bury, and he was saying, look, just take a time. I actually had 2 weeks off. They said, look, go away for a couple of weeks, and then I went back, and then just after a few days, I was like, no, still feel the same. But I wish I would have done, because the support would have been there.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to fast forward because I know it's something that needs to be spoken about. But after that, you said, I hope at the appropriate time I can come back, be involved with football, either as a player, as a coach, or work within the community. Yeah. And what do you do today?
Yeah, community ambassador.
Yeah, so that must be a big sense of pride that you've.
Oh, it's huge, mate. Yeah. It's love what I do. Get to see a lot of people, get to go to a lot of different things. We've lived up here longer than I've done down where I was born. I lived up here over 23 years now. It's way over half a life. Daughter was born here. We love Merseyside, love Liverpool. We'll always stay here. We'll never move from here. But to be involved, yeah, because when you come out of football, you're at a loss. And obviously, I retired for mental health and addiction. But when you get help and you start to feel better, it's a big void. Because it's something you've always done. It's always a routine. You know when you're training, when your summer holidays and all this sort of stuff are. And when that's gone, it's tough. So the next best thing, I went back into a bit of coaching and stuff, but doing the community stuff means a lot more now. Probably I get just as much satisfaction. Listen, I still wish I was playing and running out in front of crowds, especially at Anfield. But I get just as much satisfaction now, if not more, doing what I do with the foundation.
Yeah. And then, how bad what was it for you? So I've got you. Obviously, you were struggling with, as you said, addiction, depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
You said on Twitter that you had to go to get into rehabilitation. How bad it got?
Yeah.
How bad was it for you? And what advice would you give to someone going through something?
When I went to Bury, I ended up standing on a apartment building in Bury, just not wanting to be here anymore because my mind was just that. Just couldn't make sense of anything. I felt like I had a headache, like a migraine, 24/7. Couldn't make sense of anything, didn't want to do anything, didn't want to engage, just felt terrible. Just felt like, just in a dark hole. and I just didn't know how to get out of it. Got a little bit of help and then felt a bit better, and then I was addicted to painkillers, strong pain, tramadol. You get better, got off them, went back on them, relapsed, went to rehab in 2019, got off them again, and then relapsed during lockdown because it was hard times, weren't it? People did what they had to do to get through that. But it wasn't until I come out a couple of years ago in April, just gone, 2022, where I told everyone. And that weren't for sympathy, that was just so I didn't have, so there was no hiding place. So, I like it now that everyone knows. There's no hiding place. My wife's got drug tests at home. They've probably been the biggest thing that's kept us off them, because there is literally no hiding place. And the thought of my wife or daughter seeing a positive test is devastating for me. So that's what drives me on. But it's took a long time to get there. A lot of support. Some days I feel crap like everyone does, and you don't want to do anything. But you know that you just got to dig deep on those days, get through them, and go again the next day. But yeah, it's been a long journey, and that's why I love doing what I'm doing now. I meet a lot of people, get a lot of messages that people in similar situations, and being able to give them a bit of advice on that, like I got, is great.
Yeah, well, then it's admirable that you can be so open about it, because it must be hard speaking about it.
It's the only way, but particularly with mental health, with addiction as well. If you're going to beat it or stay in recovery, as they call it, you've got to be as open as you can. You can't have any hiding places, because if you do, the addiction will always try and creep back into you. When I went to rehab, they said there's no such thing as an addictive personality. I completely disagree, because I think there is. I'm addicted to the gym. I'm addicted to exercise. If I don't do exercise every single day, my mind's like, what are you doing? You've got to do it. So I think there is, but I know that if I don't do certain things, that addiction, 10 years is a long time to be addicted to something. It's not like 10 hours. 10 years is a massive, it's a quarter of my life. And I know if I don't do the right things and keep a structure and a routine, then there's always a possibility you could go back there if you've not got things in place like we have now.
Yeah. And then just finally, advice for anyone, what would you say? Is just to reach out to, or your family and friends, or what? People
always say, don't they, exercise and talking, and people say, well, everyone says that, but it's true. It is true, and it's when you don't want to do it. It's the hardest thing to do, when you know that you need help, but you don't want to ask for it, or you feel as though you can't. It's the hardest thing to do. But once you've done it, the weight, the relief, I can still feel the relief now when I come out and told everyone, not having an hiding place, not being secretive, not being sneaky anymore. Just be brave as you can, and no matter how bad you think things are, or how bad you think the person's going to think you, it's not about that. They will help you. It's just just being brave and asking for that first step.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's powerful.
The debate.
There's 3 debates, if I'm all right to fire them at you very quickly, if that's okay. So we need you to settle these 3 debates for us. The first one is Gerrard, Lampard, or Scholes. Can you put them in order for us?
Stevie, Scholes, Lampard. I mean, Stevie's the best I've ever played with. Lampard, again, amazing player. Paul Scholes, when I trained with England, it was like, wow, he could put a ball on a sixpence. He was just that good. But Stevie for me. Yeah.
And then the next one is Pele or Maradona.
So my dad's always. I obviously didn't see. You see videos, but I'm gonna go Pele. Okay. Yeah, my dad's Maradona, but I'm gonna go Pele.
Just to spite him? Or?
No, just because, just the way he was. I think Pele as well, the way he spoke and stuff like that. But yeah, not too. And plus, what Maradona did to us in the World Cup, not like that, do we?
Then the last one, Messi or Ronaldo.
Messi.
Easy.
Not easy. Ronaldo's probably up there, one of the best I've ever played with. But I think as a team player, more Messi. Yeah, I think it's not very often you see him throw his toys out the pram. Ronaldo does that. That's what's kept him probably at the top. But yeah, for me, Messi. Okay.
Well, that's the end of the chat. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. Anyone who wants to get in touch, follow you, what's the best way to do that?
I'm on Twitter, X in it, yeah. So at Chris Kirkland 43. My DMs are open. So anyone that is struggling, wants advice, or then my DMs are open.
And the Liverpool Legends game, might we see you there?
Well, listen, I'm not a legend. I'm a Liverpool fan. I love doing my work with the foundation. I played 15, 20 minutes in the last one, so we'll see. I think Kenny's picking the team, so it all depends if I'm in Kenny's good books or not.
Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll see you there in the pitch. And as I said, really do appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching.
Locking under your sign.